Hello, everyone. I welcome you all in our webinar series on networking, communication, and soft skills. Fourth episode on DIY tips and tricks to enhance communication skills with our guest speaker, Dr. Gurpreet Kaur Chhabra. So before we start the session, I would like to give you a brief introduction about Punjabi Chamber of Commerce. So here is the small video about PCC.
Punjabi Chamber was formed to unite the global Indian Punjabi community.
Just having access to professionals across the world on a more professional as well as a personal note is the biggest value that I have seen in pieces.
It brings all Punjabi brothers together and gives all the business people a bigger and a better platform.
Punjabi Chamber was formed to unite the global Indian Punjabi community.
Just having access to professionals across the world on a more professional as well as a personal note is the biggest value that I have seen in pieces.
It brings all Punjabi brothers together and gives all the business people a bigger and a better platform.
Privileged to have this opportunity to mentor the younger generation coming into the business world.
I'm really excited to use the Mentor Connect program offered by the Punjabi Chamber of Commerce.
Yes. So Punjabi Chamber of Commerce is a non-profit organization headquartered in USA and established in 2017 with envisions to facilitate global and local business communities with a networking forum wherein they can build new connections and relationships. Our network is committed to build an ecosystem for informative mentorship and advocacy programs. We have strict no religion, no politics policy in our place, but we believe in diversity and inclusion. So here are the positioning and ethos, or we can say the core mantra of PCC. These are capital building, capacity building, and community building. Capital building through commerce and corporation, capacity building through community and communications, community building through culture and creativity. Punjabi Chamber Foundation, PCF, is our charitable arm. We have raised some funds during the COVID pandemic, and we have already set up an oxygen plant in Manali with partnership with Rotary International. So now I request Robin to join us and the presentation forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Aarti. So now I'm going to discuss about the Global Youth Squad. That is the main point of PCC. We are here to create a legacy for the next generation so that they can grow, build, and succeed. We aim at facilitating youth fraternity with a global platform so that they can assess mentorship opportunities and a professional training session and explore their various capabilities. If we can have a look at the screen, we have various webinars that we have done before. And today we are going to present our last session of communication session. Can you please move forward? Okay, so today we have with us Dr. Gurpreet Kaur. Gurpreet Kaur is an educator, image consultant, and a very well-known communication skills trainer who believes that we are the creator of our own destiny. She is not only preparing the young minds, but she is also preparing the people who are in the corporate section who can improve, who wants to improve their interpersonal skills, communication skills to grow up their career ladder. So I welcome you, Dr. Chabra. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Robindeep. It is really an honor. So, good evening, everyone, and Sat Sri Akal to all of you. First of all, I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to PCC GYS for giving me this opportunity. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes.
So I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to PCC GYS for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge, whatever limited I have, with the young minds, the audience present here today. So as Ruben has just mentioned, that today is the last episode, the fourth episode of the series. We started with the first episode on 13th May, wherein Indy discussed about networking in communication and why networking is important and how to approach people in your network, how you have to communicate with these people, and what are the smart goals of networking, and practice. So he focused on practice. So here he highlighted the importance of interpersonal communication. Then in the next session, that is episode 2 by Mr. Nimandeep Singh Ji, wherein he talked about the intra-communication, the intuitive communication or self-communication, where he discussed the importance of talking to self and how it can lead you towards a better. Is it not audible? Am I not audible? I'm getting this message that voice is breaking. Is it better now? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what I was telling, that in Nimandeep Singh Ji's session, he talked about the intra communication, talking to yourself and your inner voice and how it can lead you to a better direction. And then in last week's seminar, that was on 20th, Rajpuran talked about the importance of diversity in communication. What are the different forms of communication in different parts of the world? So again, she highlighted the importance of interpersonal communication. So one linking pin in all the webinars which we have attended so far and today's session is the communication skills. Now the question arises, communication is the most basic form of human involvement. In fact, it's not only human beings, even plants and animals can communicate. So why is it important to work upon your communication skills? So in today's session, basically, I'm going to discuss how by applying simple tricks and tips, you can work upon your communication skills. And why we have to work on communication skills, this is also something I'm going to work upon. So let me first start my screen share. And there we will see, is it visible? Is the PPT visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So the reason why we need to work upon our communication skills is because in our education system, the skills, the sequence of skills that has been developed is not appropriate. That is the reason why we feel ill at ease or we feel uncomfortable when we are interacting with people. This is so because, as we all know, there are four communication skills: writing, reading, speaking, and listening. The first skill is writing. See, remember when we were in class nursery or in play school, what was the focus of the teacher? We used to make standing lines, slanting lines, sleeping line, and then by combining these lines, we used to make the letter of English alphabet and the mathematical numbers. So even before we could identify the letters, we were writing the letters. So the first skill which developed was writing skill. Then later on, maybe when we were in class 2 or 3, we used to combine two words and then we started reading 2-letter words, 3-letter words. Then those words became sentences, from sentences, paragraphs. And this is how we started reading the content. Then by class 5 or 6, some of us who felt confident, who had the courage, would stand up in front of the class and speak. They got a chance. Remember, not all. Few of us who had the courage got a chance to speak in the assembly, in the class, recite a poem or deliver an essay. And this is how some of us started developing speaking skills. And that is the reason some of us find courage to speak in public, whereas others feel hesitant to speak in public. Then later on, when we were in high school and college, we were made to listen to the professors, to the lectures. We were not listening it willfully. We were made to listen. So listening became a necessary activity, not a willful activity. And this is perhaps the reason why we all feel ill at ease with our communication skills. But now some of you must be thinking that, can we change it now? Can we develop our communication skills now? Answer is a big yes, you can. You can if you work upon your communication skills. And this is what we are going to discuss today. So now let us see what is the order in which communication skills should be developed. It's a reverse. The first skill which needs to be developed is listening skill. God has given us 2 ears to listen more and speak less. In fact, if you see in the development of fetus, human fetus, one of the first sense organs to develop is ear. A baby, a developing baby, a fetus can listen, can hear. So listening is more sharper than the other senses, other than touch, which is also very strong with a baby. Now, what type of listening we need to develop? We need to develop an active listening. And let us see what are the big 5 tricks of developing active listening skills. First thing, your eyes should be watching. For example, you are in this webinar, all those who are there in this webinar, focus on what is written in the content. Your eyes should be watching what is there in the content. And at the same time, your ears should be listening. When we say active listening, there are 2 types of listening, passive and active. There might be a lot of sounds going on around you. There will be a lot of noise around you. But your concentration should be what is being said. And I assume that you are listening to me actively. So active listening is taking place with my audience. And very important, when you are doing active listening, your mouth should be closed because the circuit has to be completed. And when your mouth is closed, remember your tongue should touch the palate. If your tongue, it's scientifically proven in Indian culture also, if you talk about yoga, if your tongue is touching your palate, the circuit is complete and your concentration power is more. Just try it once at home and you'll see that if your tongue is touching your palate, mouth is closed, your concentration is high. And when you are listening to something, your body should be upright. When I say upright, it should not be stiff like this, not your shoulders slouching like this. It should be straight. You should be in charge of your body. And at the same time, your hands should be still. Your hands should be still means Right now I'm speaking, so I'm doing these gestures. But when you're listening, your hands should be still. Because if your hands are moving, then again the concentration, the circuit breaks and the concentration is. So these are the 5 tricks. If you develop these tricks, if you practice this, what Andy said in his seminar, practice, practice, and practice. So if you practice this tricks, you will surely start working on your listening skills. Now we come to the tips, what we can do to develop effective or active listening habits. There are 5 tricks again to work upon your listening skills. First of all, find good content online. And there are a lot of open educational resources where you can find out good content. And when you find good content, remember one rule. In communication, there is a rule. Need to know, nice to know. Need to know is something based on knowledge. And nice to know something which is pleasant to hear or good to read. So whenever you're starting with practicing of your communication skills, start with nice to know first. Whatever gives you pleasure, whatever interests you, will be able to hold your concentration for a longer duration of time. So just look out for podcasts or videos, maybe around 5 to 8 minutes, not more than that. Because if you choose a longer video, your concentration is favored. So take a short video and watch it or listen to a podcast. And very important thing, don't make judgments about the speaker. This is a human tendency. We have a stereotypical problem. We start making judgment about the speaker. Don't do that. Because if you will not judge the person, your intake from that content will be very high. Then next thing, when you're listening, right, when you keep your eyes closed, your brain is able to conjure images like you have in dreams. So when you get these kind of imagery in your mind, whatever content you're listening at is able to go into your long-term memory. A listening combined with mental imagery goes into long-term memory and stays there for a longer duration of time. Otherwise, it remains your short-term memory and it is forgotten. So once you do that, it is possible that your concentration is wavered. So as soon as you feel that your concentration is going away, stop the content, take a few sips of water, and again try to start the podcast or the video from where you had left and try to refocus. And the most interesting part, why we are doing this. At the end, do it every day. Just a 5 to 10 minutes activity. You can easily spare 5 to 10 minutes per day for your listening skills. At the end of the week, maybe towards Sunday. And one very important thing, when you do listen to this content, make a notebook, a journal kind of a thing. Here you're entering 2 or 3 lines of notes of whatever you have heard. And remember the rule, nice to know first, need to know later. So 1 month, just focus on nice to know content. And once you have this habit, then move on to need to know content. So in your journal, just make an entry of 2-3 lines. And every Sunday, read whatever summary you have entered in your journal, in your note. Why we are doing so, I will come to in the later part of the presentation. I hope people are with me. Whatever I am telling, they are able to relate to it, or it is everything going beyond the head. Yes, can people relate to what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am, for sure people can relate. Actually, there is some network issue at your side, but
okay,
we are enjoying it.
So my voice is not audible properly?
It is audible, but sometimes there are some problems.
Okay. I hope the content is clear, or do I need to repeat?
No, it is clear.
Okay. The next skill which we need to develop is the skill of speaking. So first skill which we developed was listening. Second skill which we have to develop is the speaking. And when we talk about speaking has to be a controlled speaking. When I say controlled speaking, that means you have to keep a track of what you are saying. Now, when we need to develop a controlled speaking, we have to think about 3 important tricks. Now, what are the 3 tricks? First is confidence. When people see you are confident, then they trust what you say. So if you are confident, people like you, they believe in you. And if you're not confident, people feel uncertain about your ability to speak as a speaker. So first thing which should be evident to the audience is your confidence. Then the second thing is passion. You should be passionate about whatever you are delivering. If you're not passionate about what you are delivering, then people will not be interested to listen to you. For example, if I'm asked to talk about something related to finance, then my passion will go away. I'm passionate about communication, I'm passionate about marketing, so I can speak on those topics where I'm passionate about. So when you start practicing your speaking skill, start again with those topics where you are passionate. Then the third thing is always speak in a natural voice. Don't try to accent, don't try to put a lot of accent into it, because this actually spoils the content and also the delivery. Remain natural. If you will remain natural, people will understand. Please remember, people want to listen to the content as well as delivery. If you take too much pauses, and wherever you feel uncomfortable, take a constructive pause, like I have taken just now. It's a constructive pause where it seems that you are thinking something. So if you take long pauses, they may get negative about it. Take constructive pause. So if you work upon these 3 tricks of speaking skills, how we will do it, this is also I'm going to tell later on. If you work on these 3 aspects, people will start trusting you and you will be able to develop an image of a good orator. Now let us come to the tips. These were the 3 tricks that you have to first develop, and then the tips. Ruben, I hope I'm audible. There's no problem, because from my end, I can see the internet is okay. Okay, so I'll continue. Now, whatever summaries you prepared in your listening activities, just make a presentation, a PPT out of it. You can add pics, animation, styling, whatever you want to make it more beautified. And start rehearsing your presentation in front of full length mirror. You have to do it on every Monday. So Sunday, you are reading through your summaries of the entire week. Monday morning, you make a presentation. Hardly it will take 10 to 15 minutes. And then Monday evening, you present yourself in front of you, in front of a full length mirror, so that you are aware whatever content you are speaking, will it be receptive? People will be impressed by what you say. And very important, when you are able to impress yourself, then you will be able to impress others too. So first of all, try to impress yourself. And once you've done that, present in front of your family members. This is what even Rajbrant talked about in the last week's seminar, that present in front of your family members. I would just like to add here those family members who are critical. So if you get a sincere critical feedback from your family members, it will help you improve your speaking skills, and ask them for sincere feedback. And just remember, the art of presenting is not in the language. The art of presenting is being impressive. If you're able to, as I said, if you are able to impress yourself, you'll be able to impress the others. So these are the tips you can apply for developing the right kind of speaking skills. Again, I repeat what Andy said: practice, practice, and practice. Now let's move towards the third skill. If you see, we are moving in the reverse order. There we were moving from writing to speaking to reading and then listening. Here we are moving in the reverse order. So next skill which we need to develop is the reading skill. When we talk about reading skill, reading can be of 2 forms. In fact, there are 2 skills in reading: skimming reading and scanning reading. Skimming reading is very much like you do just before your exams, just going through the content quickly so that you have an idea about just a quick revision. That is called skimming reading. Normally, skimming reading takes place at 120 to 150 words per minute speed. And then the other reading style is scanning reading, where we are going to the content. We're going through the content in depth, and we're trying to comprehend what is there in the text. Here, the speed would be somewhere between 80 to 100 words per minute. So again, when you start working on your reading skills, start with something which interests you. Start with small stories, short stories. which draws your attention, which is of interest, short stories, because it will be over quickly. So read through the nice to know first, and then move on to the content which is need to. Whatever form of reading you do, whether skimming or scanning, always remember that you read with a purpose. Your purpose why you are reading the content should be very clear in your mind. Then you need to set a time limit. When I say time limit, I always say that keep it very less. Maybe 10-15 minutes, not more than half an hour in the initial 1 month. Later on, you may read. If I'm asked to read, I can read for 4 or 5 hours together. But initially, when you start with 10 to 15 minutes, slowly move it to half an hour, and then maybe for more time. But time limit for reading, for developing the reading skill is very important. And before you start reading, as soon as you always start with skimming first. So once you skim the text, just try to comprehend what you already know about this topic. Ask yourself, do I know something about this topic? So that once you have read the topic, you have an idea whether it has added to your body of knowledge or not. In future, you will take care of reading only those content which will add to your body of knowledge or is giving you a pleasure. After that, you start, as I said, always start with the skimming reading. Skim through the text first and then make notes. Note making is a very good habit. Whether you're listening, you're developing your listening skills, or you are developing your reading skills, make notes, because these notes are going to help you. How? I'll just come to in the next slide. Now, these were simple tricks to start with your reading skill development. Let us see some tips. Whenever you read, always keep a pocket dictionary, small diary kind of a thing. Which, when I say pocket dictionary, basically means something you can carry easily with you. So it could be in your bag, your purse, or even in your pocket, so that you can read it whenever you get a time. So make a pocket dictionary of your own. Whatever content you read, whether through book or through internet, every day find new words, at least 5 new words every day, and write their meanings in your own personal dictionary and in your own handwriting. The reason of writing in your own hand is because anything that goes through your hand is fed to your long-term memory. We have a mechanism, human body has a mechanism that whatever you write through your hand, it goes into your long-term memory. And also try to learn the pronunciation of those new words through Google. So that way it will be adding to your vocabulary. And one very important aspect, very important tip. When you're preparing for your presentation, when you were given your presentation to your family members, try to use at least 5 to 6 words that you have learned in that week. So if you learn 5 new words every day, it will be somewhere around 30 to 35 words in a week. Out of that 30 to 35 words, just use 5 to 6 words in 1 week's presentation. And then try to analyze how many words did you use, how your speaking has improved, how your vocabulary, your content has become rich by applying those words in your conversation. So pay for special attention to the words that you are using. So this is about the reading skill. Now we move to the last skill in order of development, which ideally was the first skill which we developed initially. That is the writing skills. When we talk about writing, please don't undermine the importance of writing. You have to write a lot of content. You have to write reports when you're working. You have to write business proposals. You have to write emails. So impressive writing is the skill which you need to work upon. So what are the tricks to make an impressive writing? Always use non-discriminatory language. For example, don't use chairman or chairwoman. Use chairperson instead. Take care of the punctuation, the grammar, spelling, and very important, tone. You must be thinking, speaking, tone in speaking is something we know. Tone in writing, yes, tone in writing is also there. Don't use loud words. Don't use negative words. You failed to achieve the target. If you read this sentence, you failed to achieve the target. How hurting it is. It creates a negativity in an individual. you could have achieved the target with better efforts. Now, this is slightly different. Same thing, saying the same thing in different words. So it doesn't hurt the reader. And always remember, when you are writing something, keep the reader in the perspective. When you are communicating, speaking something, always keep the listener in the mind. So whenever, as a good communicator is the one who keeps in mind the audience interest. So take care when you're writing. Your tone is something which is going to give a lasting impression on the reader. And whenever you're writing, always organize your thoughts first. So you have to organize your content in introduction, second paragraph body, and third paragraph conclusion. And accordingly, you structure your paragraphs, sentences, and the content should be structured in such a way that the reader is engaged till the end. The reader, see, normally what happens, we read 1 or 2 lines and then we decide whether to read it or not. So if your 2 or 3 lines in the beginning of your writing content is good, people tend to read more. So when you write, always again keep in mind the reader's perspective, whether reader will like it or not. So these were a little bit about the tricks of writing skills. Now we come to the tips of effective writing skills. So it's going to culminate, whatever aspect we worked upon, ultimately, it is going to culminate in our writing skills. One thing is for sure, grammar practice. You have to do it every day. You can check your answers online. It's very much like mathematics. Again, practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, you will be able to develop a good sentence construction. And when you're writing, take care of 3 things: your tenses, verbs, and prepositions. If these 3 are in place, the content is always good. And very important thing, remember I just told you about the presentation you're going to give in front of your family members. After you've given your presentation and they have given their feedback to you, in your journal, in your notebook, which I mentioned earlier, write your own personal feedback, how you as an individual felt after giving that presentation. So every time, every Monday when you present, write your own personal feedback after the presentation in the notebook. And from after that, 2 weeks, after a fortnight, reread what you have written. When you reread your own content, you may feel that I could have used this word instead of this word. I could have constructed, this is a complex sentence that I have written. I could have made it a simpler one. So you may rephrase your own content. And this is how you keep on improving your writing skills. So this is what I had to discuss with you on how to develop your communication skills, your reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills. Now, if you see on the screen, can you see something? Anyone? What you can see on the screen? Different faces?
Different faces showing different emotions.
Absolutely. Different faces showing different emotions. And this is another form of communication, the non-verbal aspect of communication. And to be true with you, what I just told you about reading, writing, speaking, and listening, out of the total communication, 75% communication is this. 75% is paralinguistic, your non-verbal communication. And out of that 75%, 55% is facial expression. So what you see here is different types of facial expressions. Your facial expressions are something which is visible to the audience. Even if I'm right now in the virtual mode, what you can see, maybe you cannot see my body language, but you can see my facial expressions. So whatever emotions, our face is the mirror of our emotions. And if you learn this art, you can even control your facial expressions. So whatever you're feeling, I may be feeling angry inside, but it is not evident on my face. You can actually practice, learn this when you want to present in front of the public or when you're communicating with someone. So it means that if 75% is non-verbal communication, 25% is the verbal communication. Because people always focus on how you say, not what you say. What you say is important, of course. I don't undermine the importance of that. But how you say is rather more important because it touches them. It affects them. So basically, although to tell you something about the scientific research in the field of communication sciences, there are 2,700 different type of facial expressions which our facial muscles can make. You'll be amazed to 2,700 different types of facial expressions which we can make. But basically, they are categorized into 5 human emotions: sadness, happiness, anger, disgust, and fear. These are the major 5 emotions which are evident on our face. And if we practice, that's why I said in front of full length mirror, because you are able to gauge your own facial expression. So if you are able to gauge your own facial expression, you'll be able to actually conquer them, change them. You can see it in mirror, you can change that this expression should not come on my face when I'm presenting to someone. So this is how you can work upon your communication skills. So I'll quickly recap what tips and tricks we discussed. You have to listen to a podcast, not more than 10 minutes, make summaries after every podcast, then read through your summaries on Sundays, prepare a presentation on Mondays, deliver in front of your family members, take their feedback, then write your own feelings, how you felt after the presentation. And during the presentation, try to implement new words, around 5 to 6 words, which you have learned in that week. So before I close for today, there are a couple of quotes by popular people. John Powell said, communication works for those who work at it. So believe you me, if you start working on your communication skills right from today, they are very simple tips and tricks. You can apply them in your day-to-day life. And as I said, you can learn it at every age, any stage, whenever you want, you can learn communication. You can make it much better, but you should be willing to work at it. That's by Brian Tracy. And this is the most important skill we require, whether we are in our personal life or professional life. Communication is very, very important skill that we all must acquire. Thank you very much for being a patient audience, a patient listener. I hope whatever I shared could be of use to all. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Yes, ma'am, indeed, it was very useful. So we have few questions from the audience. So if you could take it.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, so the very first question is from Priyanka Sharma. How to make reading interesting if the person find it boring or he has no interest in it?
As I
Reading
said,
always seems boring.
As I mentioned in the beginning, always start with nice to know, not need to know. Reading often becomes boring when we start with the need to know. You don't find your textbooks appealing. So if you really want to develop your reading skills, then you should get hold of some good content that is of interest to you. That is something which will help you to develop your interest in reading. And frankly speaking, it is easier said than done. So if you really feel that you are not able to comprehend what is said, then you should switch to something else. But all of us have, interest in something or the other. So whichever is your area of interest, start reading with that.
So true. So ma'am, we have one more question by Khushbu. So is time a factor for gaining confidence, or is it just about how much we try to improve our confidence? So she wants to know that is time matters, or is just a continuous practice matters?
You cannot gain it. You cannot gain it in one day. And those who you feel they are confident, they were not born confident. Remember, they worked upon it. They had their own fears. I still get jitters. I feel nervous whenever I'm asked to appear on a stage or stand on a podium in front of an audience. After so many of years of public speaking, still my legs feel shaky. They feel wobbly. So you have to. I believe, I say that if you don't feel nervous, that means you have stopped learning. So if you are feeling nervous, that means you are learning and you are growing. So don't feel that if you are feeling underconfident, it is wrong. No. Okay, I'll just give you one more tip. Whenever you are going to face an audience or there's a big day and you're feeling nervous, just make a fist like this. Right? Can you see my hands?
Yes,
everyone?
I practice it with you.
Right. But here I have to show you in the front of screen, but actually you have to do it towards the earth. You have to put your hands towards the earth. I'm showing it because I have to put it on the screen, right? So you can put your hands towards the earth. You close your fist very tight. And then at the count of 1 to 10, you can open your fingers one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And your hand should be pointing towards the earth. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, pointing towards the earth. Take a deep breath and all your nervous energy is gone. Believe you me, I have told it to many people and they say they come back and tell me it actually works. So try it out. And one thing, you have to control your mind after that. Because if you let your mind take over you, then nervous energy will come back. Otherwise, all your nervous energy is absorbed by the gravitational force of Earth.
All right. Okay, so we have one. Yes, ma'am. So we have one more question by Priyanka. How to grab the attention of students through communication skills? What method is most suitable for explaining any topic or subject?
Okay, so I need to check upon what is the age group of the students she's talking about. So if Priyanka can tell me, because capturing the attention of students.
Priyanka is a teacher, ma'am. So she is asking from her point of view.
Got it. Which level of students?
She's an IELTS trainer, ma'am. So she's
okay. So in that case, if you because you would be having students in the age group above teenage, right? So they the reason they are there is clear to them. So they have a clear focus why they are coming for this program. So if you really want to gain their attention, try to give them something which makes them act, not listening. Get them involved in an activity, maybe a puzzle where they have to find a word or maybe a picture which is related to a word, anything. You can give them a picture story. You can give them a word map. You can give them a word cloud to arrange, anything which actually involves them into the action, because they are just listening, right? And their focus is more on listening. So if you involve them more, the reason is the more sense organs you involve, the more is the attention and interest. So involve them something where their hands are involved, their skin is involved, and they are actively involved. So that thing I think will work for them.
All right, ma'am. So we have one more question by Khushbu. So is confidence genetic? She wants to know about it. When we are asked about how well we communicate, how should we describe that?
First of all, it's not genetic. Yes, genes do have an influence on it, but it can be acquired. So as I said, you can acquire it at any age, any stage. Yes, research says that to some extent, yes, genes are responsible, but it's not genes actually. It's the environment, the family in which you have been brought. If your family is, promoting, giving you confidence, encouraging you, then automatically, as I mentioned in the beginning, some of us had the courage in class 4 or 5 to stand in front of the class and assembly and speak. So from where that was coming? That was coming basically from the family. So they encourage their children to go and speak in public. So genetic, I would say just 5%, 10%, but 80 to 90%, it's the encouragement of the teachers and the family members, right? And next question I think she had is, when we are asked about how well we communicate, how should we describe that? Okay, so how well you communicate, you cannot describe it. You can only demonstrate it. It cannot be described. So when you speak, when you say something, when you write something, people can make out that your communication skills are good. So you don't have to tell people. They will understand as soon as you start speaking. Demonstrate your communication, don't describe.
Okay.
Do we have?
I believe Khushbu has so many questions, ma'am. So here's one more question by her. So did you had enough confidence in your early days to speak? If no, then what were the things that helped you to do it
No,
yourself?
was not. No, I was not very confident. I was not very confident. I developed this confidence during my first job. When I started working, the HR actually did one session, like I'm doing right now. The HR department, the training, they took one training session of soft skills. So there we had something called role plays. In fact, in our management, since I'm a management faculty, so we apply it in our college also. And there we got used to act role plays where we got a chance. And the reason they told us there is no one to judge. Assume everybody sitting in the audience is a clown. So there is no one to judge you. Actual problem is we become apprehensive when we believe that others are judging us. There is where we lack our confidence. So we used to get into role plays, and with this role plays started seeping in on its own. So started developing that confidence. The first applause that you get, it gives you confidence. So wait for that first applause and applauses thereafter. They give you more confidence. So it's like that. I was not born with it. Any other question?
Yes, ma'am. So she is also adding that even if we have the less confidence right now, can we call it wrong, or it is right?
Even if you have less confidence, you have confidence. Even if the quantity is less, it makes no difference. Problem is when you don't have confidence, and everybody has confidence. See, I simply tell everyone. People say that many times students approach to me and they say that others demean me, that I lack confidence. I said that you don't lack confidence. You have it. It's just that you don't demonstrate it. So there is nothing called less or more. Just remember, you have confidence. If you have confidence right now, eventually from low to high, it will become from low to high. Believe me, once you start practicing in front of full length mirror, it actually works. It had worked for me. I have given this tip to a lot of students. They worked on it, and after 1 month they say, yes ma'am, I am more confident now. Because you are yourself your biggest critic. Your family members are your biggest critic. So let them criticize you. Once they criticize you, you tend to improve, so that you don't make mistakes in front of the public. So don't feel that you have less. Even if you have less, you have confidence. Just have to add upon it. Any other question?
Question. So how to improve our accent while speaking, ma'am?
Accent is something you really need practice. You need a lot of practice for accent, and don't try to develop the accent. The more you practice it, it will actually come on its own. You will realize. And one more thing, when you try to communicate with people who have that accent, right? So whatever accent you want to develop, if you interact more with people who have that accent, then you automatically tend to develop that accent, right? So it is just by interacting with others. The more you interact, the more accent it will become. I mean, whichever accent you want to develop.
Yes, for sure, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question from my side. So if somebody wants to practice communication skills for the very first time after their family, so what is the best place to practice it?
Can you come again? I didn't hear your question, the voice.
Yes, ma'am. So if somebody wants to practice their communication skills after presenting it to your family? So what would be the best place?
To present in front of your family members.
After, after presenting your family members, after presenting your family members.
Okay, maybe your teachers, your seniors, people whom you trust, people whom you trust, people whom you have confidence upon, that they will give you sincere feedback. Don't go to your goody friends. I would say those who are your enemies, go and present in front of them. Whom you don't feel comfortable with, they are the best, because they will, you know what, they will listen carefully to your presentation, because they want to criticize you, they want to find flaws. Always your best buddies are those who find your flaws. They would try to find ways in which to tell you, this is where you went wrong, this was not nice, you could have done it this way. They will give you the best feedback. And present in front of the audience only after you have got, once these people, your critical family members and your critical friends, they say, wow, it is wonderful, then that means you are ready.
So true, ma'am. So, okay, so ma'am, I think so we don't have any question right now. So Khushbu is saying that I have experienced that watching English movies with reading subtitles helped me a lot. So would you suggest this option to everyone?
Yes, you can. Reading English novels, English books. I develop my English by reading. Am I audible? Because I'm
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
You are.
So my father, to tell you the truth, my father gave me English novels when I was in class 5. And I still remember the first novel I read was Little Women, right? And there's a movie also on that novel. So from there, I started. That's why I said always start with nice to know, which gives you pleasure. Reading as well as watching English movies. That is your choice. In my age, we were not very fond of English movies, so we didn't get access to English movies. So we had nothing to read except books. I still find books more interesting than internet articles. But for youth, for young generation, obviously, English movies and your web series, English web series, that will also help you, right? And just focus on the English content. That is what you get out of it. There are a lot of content available. It is up to you what you take out of it. So yes, English movies with subtitles will definitely help you. It will. So this is something which even what Khushbu is doing, others can also follow that.
Yes, ma'am. So with this, ma'am, we are ending this session. So we have no further question. So thank you very much, Gurpreet ma'am, for sharing such wonderful insights with us. I hope participants will follow these DYS to get a good hold over their communication skills. We have learned about listening skills, how active listening skills help, how other things, reading skills can be improved. So with this, we are done with our wonderful series of communication, everyone. It has really been a very great learning sessions. I once again express my gratitude to each and everyone present here. Thank you for joining in, and we would love to have you in our future sessions also. You can also be the part of GYS by registering yourself at www.punjabichamber.com. And with this, I request the team to please close this session. Have a great day, everyone.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for your time. I'm ending the session now.